Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's show. Tonight, we're talking about fireworks. It's a kind of hybrid show. We weren't on last week, so we decided to make this week kind of both fireworks and photo review. So we're going to talk about some things that you can do to make better fireworks photos. We are welcoming comments from people who are watching. Please, if you're watching, I'm going to mention this again later because early on in the show, sometimes people aren't watching. But the Q&A app is part of this Hangout. And if you go over to the left side of the window, you'll hover over the window here a little bit and see the Q&A. Click that on the right side. You can ask your questions to us. And during the show, we'll be able to talk to you and hear what you have to say and roll what you got to say into the conversation. There's lots of stuff with fireworks. And anytime you bring up how to shoot fireworks, you always get different opinions from everybody. Everybody has unique ways of making these really cool images. Now, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and give you some tips, maybe give you these ways to make these cool photos, but at the same time, we're going to use the viewers' photos as examples and things that you could have done because there's been awesome submissions. Navi, before I get to that, hi, how are you?
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
Cool. Lots of submissions this week.
Yes, a whole slew of them.
We have, I think, 13 people who have submitted photos for the challenge.
People love fireworks, man.
It's very cool. Very, very cool. Well, how have you been? What was the week like for you, Nav?
It kind of threw me off, having that day off in the middle, that holiday in the middle there.
Yeah.
Made everything like weird. It was good. Nothing too exciting this week. I got a haircut. Hooray!
Yeah, you got like 3 inches cut off.
No, it was more like 5.
Really?
Yeah, I was tired of fighting with my hair and tangles in the morning and brushing it, so I finally gave in and got the cheapest haircut I've ever gotten in my life. It was great. Yeah. Ladies,
Okay.
Haircuts are not cheap.
See, I just don't get that.
Hence, I said ladies.
Yeah, that's a good point. You did. My haircut's $10 and I'm kicked out. Kicked out. That's it.
Yeah, you get a little trim, you're done.
That's it. And I don't have that much left to cut. I mean, I wear a hat all the time on the show, but without the hat, there's just this big spot up here that doesn't need cutting, which is unfortunate, but whatever. Actually, speaking of hair cutting, you just had a photo shoot with a hairstylist.
Yes, I did. I got contacted by a hairstylist in Toronto, and she needed some photos for a competition that she's doing. So she had this really cool idea and theme for it. It was more like, it wasn't your typical like really crazy hair type photo shoots. I had more like a rugged, I wouldn't say hipster, but sort of a more of a editorial type thing. And I'm not a hipster, Brian. God.
You just bought a Fuji mirrorless camera. Of course you're a hipster. It does. It's a given.
It makes me a really good deal finder.
Okay, well, I'll go with that.
Point shoot now, but it's not a point shoot. Anyway, it was great because I did a couple shots and she was just like off the wall because she was like, you know exactly what my vibe is. And it's like, okay, but we'll stick with that. So yeah,
that's great. And you've got a knack for that anyway. You can kind of key into a concept and just hit it right on the head. So
yeah, it was pretty cool. Fun. I brought 2 of my students along with me because they. I just asked who wanted to come and check out what a real photo shoot would be like. So it was nice having the extra hand. They had a lot of fun, and they're both like, "Hey, let me know if there's anything else, any other shoots coming up." So that's fun.
It's the best experience, isn't it? Getting that hands-on experience with somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good.
Very cool. Well, congrats. That's really great.
Thanks.
And I guess for those of you who know, on June 30th, we had our first Daytripper Photo fireworks session. Navi was there with a new hipster camera, and Gabriel was there. Gabe was awesome. He got some great behind the scenes shots. Oh, I should probably mention he's not here with us tonight, unfortunately. He is also an IT guy, and he had a bunch of computer issues that he had to take care of tonight. So he may not be on the show. If he shows up, awesome. If not, that's okay. Gabe is always a part of what we're talking about. So he helped out quite a bit on this fireworks session, and he was able to not only take behind the scenes photos, but do the steel wool spinning, which he's awesome at. And then later on, he went back and helped Sean and Amanda launching the fireworks and helping coordinate it with the radio and so on. So awesome session. We had such a great time. And Trish, his wife, did the barbecuing for us, which was really cool. it was just a great time in the middle of this field. Just set up some tents, had it all set up. It was really great. And yeah, it was fun. Had a great time.
Pretty cozy there, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. And the food was good. And, we learned some stuff. And I learned that I bought way too many fireworks. And, a couple hours, 3 hours of darkness is just not enough to cover all the things that I wanted to cover. So in a way, I'm happy that the follow-up show, like this show right now, literally a week after this session is on, so we can kind of recover some of the things that I don't think I wanted covered enough. Does that make sense? Like the zoom blur and the focus blur and all these different techniques that we were trying to cover, we had to kind of rush through because it got late so fast that we just didn't have the time to stop and do everything we wanted to do as we started getting going. At the beginning, we did. We took all our time. We answered everybody's questions, made sure everybody got focus and their exposure was set right and everybody was getting what they needed to get. But once we felt confident that everybody was getting that, we realized it was like 20 to 11 already. And technically, fireworks should be over by 11 o'clock or 11:15. Luckily, I notified well ahead the police that we were going to be doing this. And when he did show up at, I don't know, 11:30, quarter to 12. It was more of a, yeah, okay, guys, you've got another half hour. Just, finish up. So it was pretty good.
Tell the neighbor to shut up.
It's 11:30.
I'm like, it's 11:30.
Is that all it was? Yeah, well, that's not too bad. Anyway, I went around up and down the street trying to look for the guy, but of course he took off. So, anywho, that was
like hiding in his house.
Yeah, right.
Calling the cops.
That's all right. Cops are on our side.
Here, so
we had a great time. Learned a lot of stuff, and I learned a lot of stuff in running the session. So I'm really looking forward to next year's Canada Day. We're going to do the session, of course, again because it's fun, and we had a great time. So if you guys want to do some fireworks sessions, it's not up yet, but when it's up on the website, you should register for that because that'll be fun. Okay, another really interesting point. One last note before we get to the meat and potatoes of the show. You've heard of the Amazing Race? Nadia?
yes.
Canada, the great Canadian version, the Amazing Race. Well, some friends of mine are actually on that this year. Matt Gianta and Nick Yockwell, two guys, Asylum and Burns, otherwise known as the Flatliners. They are wrestlers, indie wrestlers from this area.
Oh.
And I've been taking photos of these guys since 2007. And it's just the great couple guys, and they've been a tag team forever, and they're taking on this great challenge of the Amazing Race Canada, and I really wish them well. Of course, it's already over. They're just airing it now, so they probably already know if they've won or lost. I don't know because I haven't watched this thing yet, but it starts tonight at 9 o'clock. So 40 minutes ago, this all started, and I'm here doing the show, missing my buddies on the Amazing Race Canada. So good luck, Asylum and Burns and Flatliners guys. I hope you guys do well.
Is that what they're going as? Like they're like wrestling partners?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's like husband and wife or brothers. These guys are wrestling tag team partners.
Oh, cool.
And it's legit. They actually are. They've been doing it forever. Good friends with each other. I don't want to claim to be best friends with them because I just know them through wrestling, and I don't want to make it out to be like we hang out all the time or anything, but good luck, guys. Cool. Also, I just want to thank our sponsor, Lens Pen. These guys are awesome. They give us lots of products that we can give away on day trips, and it just really makes a day trip an interesting experience when, you can be trying to help people learn something and then put a little challenge out there and throw out a test and say, all right, who's the first person that can answer this question? And then they answer and you give them a lens pen, or, you look over and somebody's lens is all dirty and fogged up and you just take one of their anti-fog cloths and clean that for them. Or it's just some really interesting products that they have. And, you're always learning new things you can do with this stuff. Navi, I've been doing a scanning job, and this little sidekick thing has come in so handy. It's the little pad. I guess it's meant to clean your cell phone, your tablets, things like that. And, when you put it back in the case here, it reactivates. But I've been using it to clean the glass on the scanner. Every once in a while, I'll take all the slides off and take the tray out and, clean it up really well so that I'm scanning properly and not getting my own dust in the mix. Excellent little tools for stuff like that. So thank you so much, Lens Pen, for continuing your sponsorship of the Daytripper Photo Show and Daytripper Day Trips. Awesome group of people and super, super handy stuff. Hear what I just did there? That weird little, kind of weird. Sometimes my voice surprises me. Anyway, if you are watching this after the fact on YouTube, please click like. After that stupid little shtick I just did, I don't think you will. But please click like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share this with your friends. We have a great time doing the show, and hopefully we put out a nugget or two of knowledge during each episode that you can get something fun from. So if you do that, that would be great. Thank you very much. Also, join the Daytripper Photo community on Google+. That's where all the magic happens. Speaking of magic, there's a couple events that I'm going to announce at the end of the show, but apparently I'm doing it now too. There's a few things that we have coming up. All over the place. The community offers out these unique opportunities, one of which is something that you're doing with Martin on
20-something?
26th, that's right.
That's 26th.
July 26th. They're going up and they're taking pictures of this airplane that was in, I forget which movie that was in, but...
or something?
Which one?
North by Northwest, does that sound right?
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, classic movie, this biplane chasing Cary Grant across the field, North by Northwest, I believe it is. And this plane, they're actually going to start it up, and they're bringing models, and they're doing this amazing photo shoot. Navi's going to be there on that. I want to see your photos because it's going to look so cool. It's only $100, and I just mentioned it to our community on Google Plus if you're interested. I know it's not a Daytripper photo session, but Martin and I actually originally started doing day trips together. He was one of my first instructors, and he is the reason I work at Henry's, and he's the reason I'm in photography at all. So I have to promote that as much as I can. The guy's awesome, and you're going to learn a lot, and Navi will be there, so how can you go wrong?
It sounds like it's going to be a really good shoot. See, I talked to him today, and he said, I'm welcome to teach, but I'm like, no, I'm more interested in shooting it, because what is he called? The Planes and Dames? But he's gonna have like the costumes and the models all made up and with this huge airplane, this airstrip area. So it should be really neat. I'm looking forward.
No doubt, and the people who are going are so enthusiastic about it. So it's gonna be great. Only 12 people he's taking on this, and I believe probably by now he's almost full. I mentioned it in the community.
There's 2 spots left.
There's 3 spots left.
2.
2. Okay, cool. Well, good luck to him and everybody who goes on that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Also, on the 11th of July, we've mentioned this to the community members as well. A few of us are going to be going to the rodeo. The Orangeville Dodge Ram Rodeo Series is coming to town, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to go on force, en masse of the Daytripper community and the Camera Club community, and hopefully there'll be a lot of us there. We'll have a great time taking pictures. I know Ross is going. I'm going. And it'll be great. So that's on the 11th. That's on Saturday, this coming. And one other thing that I just want to mention, on the 17th, a bunch of us from this community as well are going to the Joe McNally live session in Toronto. And it's going to be a blast. If you haven't heard of Joe McNally, look him up right now. If you do know who Joe McNally is and didn't know that the session was going on, go online and register for the session as well. It's only $100. If you register now, it was cheaper before, or else I probably couldn't have done it, but I'm super excited about it because these are so cool. I've done the Ben Wilmore session. I've done one with RC Concepcion, and you actually get to talk to the guys. And Ben Wilmore even came into a hangout with us after the fact to help us relearn what he covered in his session. So that was awesome, hanging out on a hangout with Ben Wilmore after the session. So if you guys get this opportunity, check it out. Joe McNally is, as Ross calls him, the magic unicorn of off-camera flash photography or something, of the creative lighting system.
I think most people, I'd hope most people who do, any sort of flash photography have heard of him, because the stuff he's done is incredible.
Yeah, using the creative lighting system to light a B-52 bomber, I mean, that's pretty cool. What were you going to say?
I was going to say the amount of information and like the tutorials and that kind of stuff that he's put out. There's it's pretty much every article I read about speedlights or whatever, somewhere in there, there was a Joe McNally reference of some sort.
Absolutely true. As there should be, though, because he is that good. And he's a super nice guy. He's funny, personable. He really gets his point across well. And I'm so excited to go to that Joe McNally session. I haven't seen him live before. Ross has at Vegas, at Photoshop World, and all these other places.
How long is the event?
How long is the event?
Yeah.
I think it's probably like a 9 to 5 deal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
so is he going to be like demonstrating things, or like how do these things work?
From what I understand, and from the way the other sessions have been, basically he'll be up on a stage in front of us, and there'll be all the seats, and everybody will be sitting there just watching and taking notes, but basically just being inspired by how he does things, and he'll show result like test or sample photos that he shot and give examples. I'm sure if it is more hands-on, that would be awesome. I don't know how he does these sessions. As I say, Ross probably knows exactly what to expect from this, but I'm a noob. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so let's get back to our conversation on fireworks, because this potentially could be a very long show if we let it, because there's a lot of really cool stuff to talk about. And with 12 people submitting, which is amazing, guys, 13 people, sorry, Heather just submitted. Thank you all so much. It's great. I know you had an extra week to submit because, well, I guess it wasn't an extra. It was just 2 weeks, wasn't it? Because we took last week off because it was Canada Day. So yeah, I guess it was just 2 weeks, but nonetheless, it gives you time to submit these photos. And fireworks, you know what? People love fireworks. I love fireworks. I get so excited. It's awesome in so many different ways. First of all, the definition of the word photography is drawing with light. I know, Nav, you've heard me say it like 5 billion times.
At least once a week.
For 5 million weeks. No, it's absolutely true. Literally the definition of the word, photography, drawing with light. So when you see it that way and you think of what fireworks are, you're literally drawing with these amazing colors and shapes and styles onto your camera sensor. So when you see it that way and you start to understand how to control the light getting into your camera, you can do some really great things. I think what most people find a problem is focus. Achieving proper focus. And there were a few photos that were submitted for a challenge where you could tell that the focus was either just a little bit off and there's maybe some clarity or sharpening added to help that, or possibly there just wasn't focus to begin with. And it's very difficult to get focus when it's a black sky. So that's pretty much why it took so long for us to get past the entry learning point, because how do you get focus at that kind of a distance? So we're talking about manual focus. We're talking about, focusing on the horizon, using the infinity marker on your lens. Do you have any tips on how to get proper focus, Nav?
Well, we did we have Gabriel up there? Oh no, that was for the
that was steel wool.
Yeah.
But we did that at the beginning for this point though. So yeah, that's a valid thing that you're thinking.
Did we do that though when before we started the fireworks thing? Like, I don't remember how we did it.
So Gabe started off, he went out into the field and we were going to do the steel wool, and we shine a flashlight on him and everybody uses that light as contrast so we can get autofocus to lock on him. Right. Once everybody was focused, then we flip it to manual focus and until somebody moves.
But for the fireworks, we didn't do that.
Fireworks, you can't because it was so far away.
Yeah.
I didn't have my Brinkman flashlight to shine it on Sean's truck out there. So it was basically focused on the horizon.
Yes.
Check your first photo, chimp it. Right? That was funny. A bunch of the people we talked about chimping, and they were like, "Oh, what's chimping?" And we explain it, and they're like, "Oh, okay." So we're there taking pictures. All of a sudden, I hear some lady off on the side going, "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh." It was fun stuff.
Well, I think your depth of field, will play a big role too in trying to get in as much as possible, like in focus. That was actually my first time actually photographing fireworks.
Oh wow!
Usually I'll have my camera for whatever fireworks or event, but I never have a tripod because I'm usually too lazy to bring it with me. So my excuse is, I'll find something to put the camera on, and it never works out ever. So this was actually my first time bringing a tripod and going to shoot fireworks. So it was a learning experience for me for sure.
That's awesome. And it's so funny that you say you don't usually use tripod, because that's one of the things we're going to talk about is shooting either on a tripod or not.
Yeah.
Blake, who actually might be on the show later on today, he shot pretty much the whole night, I believe, without a tripod. And he did everything handheld, and it was like swirls and zooms and different things. And he was seeing it as that term, photography, where you're letting the light just move across the sensor. And by controlling how long your shutter stays open, you're able to control either, create longer or shorter trails to the firework. So with just, 2-second exposures, not 15 seconds like I was doing, you're able to just kind of 1, 2, and then do a little flip and create this trail. So Blake has a lot of cool shots that he did that technique with, which is really great to see.
Really different, some of his stuff that he got.
Absolutely. And then the whole majesty of the thing, you know, having these fireworks flying overhead. There were so many that we had. I've still got a whole box of them in my closet. Shelly and I went out on the I guess on the 4th, or no, the 2nd, sorry, the day after Canada Day, and we lit off like 9 or 10 different fireworks, and they were the coolest fireworks that anybody was lighting off in our area. They were just awesome. The loony bin, I posted that to the page there. Oh, such a cool firework. Anyway, because they are huge blasts of explosives, you're just amped from the minute you get there. Your adrenaline starts to go. You just get excited. And there's just something, all of us, we just look forward to it every year. So I'm really happy that we're doing these sessions now. I've got the contacts for the fireworks. I've got the contacts for the location. I've got the contacts for the porta potty, because that's important. It is, even though some people don't use them.
Whatever. I'm too much of a hipster to use it anyway. So.
That's awesome. Anyway, it was a great time. So I'll be able to look forward to this session every year as far as I could possibly imagine now. So that's really cool. Nabby, were you sick of fireworks by the 1st? Because I was done. I was over it.
Oh, like by the actual Canada Day?
Yeah.
I didn't even stay awake for the actual Canada Day fireworks, so it was pretty tired.
I was asleep by about 9:15 on the 1st.
Yeah, and I had seen it enough the day before, so I think it's different when you're like, you know, with younger kids, whatever they're really into it, you kind of just, you know, force yourself to get into it. But I was like, 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm tired.
It's funny you say that too, though. It's really, a lot of us as kids have the biggest memories we have are going to big fireworks displays with our parents. Yeah. I'll never forget when I was a kid, my parents took me this one when we were living in Montreal, and we drove this van around, and there were so many cars everywhere. We literally pulled over to the side of the road on this hillside, and they basically just shoved my face in the window and said, "Here, look, fireworks." And I was like freaking out, screaming my head off. I cried so bad. I didn't want to have anything to do with the fireworks, and I ruined it for my entire family. It was awful. But I love them. Love them, love them, love them. So it's just, it brings back memories. It brings back emotions. So it can mean so many different things to different people. Yeah. So let's get to these images. Let's have a look at these pictures. And Navi, would you please do the screen share? And we're going to go through these shots, and we're going to talk about how we think they were made, and then possibly give some opinions as to what to do differently. Now, Navi and I have talked about this already. It's a lot different giving critiques on fireworks photos than it is on a lot of different photos. If we're going with that classic proper composition, something in the foreground leading to background, and, you know, rule of thirds, following the rules, doing all these things, when the sky is black and there's nothing there but this blast of firework, that is the photo. One of the comments I made during the session is the fact that when you're shooting with light, it's generally ambient light or lighting that you're supplying to light up your source, to illuminate your source or your focal point. With fireworks, the firework is the focal point. You're not using it as an illumination tool. You're using it as the focal point. So it's a different way of talking about it that we have to get into, rather than just saying, "Oh, great composition," and da 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 da. Now, sometimes you're going to get that, and there's some shots in our review that we're going to go over that meet all the requirements, that are really interesting, and then there's other shots that are just technically impressive. What was done to the photo technically to make it look a certain way, and then there's other shots that just bring back, like I'm saying, that vibe of when you're a kid and you see these big majestic fireworks that are beautiful. So we're going to get into it. Navi's already got the screen share up. We're going to start at the very bottom and see what we got. Now, by the way, folks, there are some people who've submitted more than one image. And for those folks, Navi and I, have chosen the one photo that we would like to discuss from that group. So we've already gone through all that, and we know what's going on. So let's start off. Here we go. Here's Julie's photo. Is that the first one?
I'm starting from the right and going this way.
Ah, okay.
I would be going left to right.
The way you've got it, that sounds perfect.
All right.
Do it. So, Julie, go for it now.
Well, overall, I guess composition of this, because I think with fireworks, like you were mentioning, it's a little bit different. Because I don't know, I think it's, I personally like it when there's other things to look at besides just these lights. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I like that in this picture there's a foreground, and there's, you know, sort of a middle ground and a background, and there's the fireworks, as opposed to just a black sky and fireworks. Mm-hmm. So overall, I like the composition. I like that there was reflection off the water. The only thing I noticed is that I I find myself squinting a little bit because I'm thinking, trying to make the fireworks a little bit more in focus. You know what I mean? I think it's a little bit out of focus. It's just a little bit soft, so I'm kind of like, squinting to see if it was just me or it's the actual photo, but I think it's a little bit soft.
Well, this is the nice thing about using Google Plus as this tool, because as you're about to do here, you can see you can get right in there and zoom in when they're full res. And you're actually right. It is a little bit soft. And I think this is where focus rears its head. You know, it's a tough thing to do to get really sharp focus, especially at that kind of a distance. A tip for some people, if you're trying to take pictures, now this is where a tip like this would actually work. If you notice before you start shooting, there's no fireworks, obviously, but there's the lights along the horizon. When you're focusing stars or twinkle lights or lights like these of a building or of a city far away, a good rule is if you're looking through your viewfinder, obviously start in manual focus and just turn your focus ring until the light is its smallest. If there's any glow around the light, it's not in focus. If you keep on going until the light is just a tiny little speck, like a dot, that's usually where you're going to have your proper focus. Also, focusing to infinity on your lens is a place to start too. What were you going to say, Navi?
I was just gonna say I recently read somewhere where I can't remember, it was you want to go a little bit past or a little bit before infinity.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard that?
Absolutely. On the older lenses, the old Legacy series lenses or whatever, they would stop at infinity. So as you're focusing, it would get to a certain point and stop, and then it would go to the other point and stop. It wouldn't continuously focus through. With the newer lenses today, the autofocus, a lot of the stabilized lenses and so on, you'll notice that you can keep on focusing and turning that ring until the cows come home, because apparently cows like to stay out late. And so if you're trying to get focus and you go to infinity, it can keep on spinning. So because of that, it's a little bit off, and you're not going to get focus exactly where the infinity mark is. So sometimes you have to go a little past it or a little before, which is why I would lean more toward the looking through the viewfinder, focusing on a pinpoint of light and making that pinpoint as small as possible.
Good tip.
There you go. And I noticed Julie and Chris, I believe, were together.
That's Kristen's photo there.
There you go. And it's interesting how, you know, you can be side by side and come up with different exposures and different photos altogether. Now, we can't quite zoom in as far with Chris's, but you have a little bit of that sharpness and a little bit of the detail of all the little blasts on the tip, which add an element, you know, to the shot. I'd like to know where they were for this. It was a great location. I agree with you, Navi, about the water giving you that reflection.
Yeah.
And in this one, all the little twinkles coming off the water.
Right there.
Yeah, exactly. It may be tough to see in the screen share, but if everybody at home is watching this and they actually have the images up at the same time like we do, it's a really dramatic effect that we're getting off the water here. Nice little twinkles everywhere. I haven't even looked at the Q&A yet. Let's see if anybody's... Oh, look, there's lots of people. I'm way behind here with the Q&A. So Rick says, what day is this? Rick is an airline captain, and I really hope you know what day this is. I'm just saying. Today is Wednesday, Rick, and we are doing the show.
I think he means maybe the seminar.
Oh, okay. Next time he sees me, he can punch me. It's okay. The seminar, well, the one with Martin.
Michelle answered him there, July 17th.
What's that?
Michelle answered him July 17th.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
If that's what he was asking anyway.
Joseph Leduc registered for the Joe McNally session. Good. Michelle says it was an awesome event. Thanks to all who made it an awesome night. You're very welcome. I'm glad you liked it. Andrew says, good evening, Daytripper Photo gurus. I appreciate you feeling that way. That's very nice. Michelle, yeah, answered Rick. Chris says, hi, they were in Barrie. Oh, very nice. Cool. So that's Kempenfelt Bay there. Possibly. Beautiful. Actually, I was in Barrie for one of their fireworks shows, and we were right on the docks. A friend of Shelley's has a boat, and we were literally right on the dock, and the moon was in the shot, and I was trying to do multiple exposures from side to side, and every time I did that, I'd end up with like 2 or 3 moons in the photo, so didn't quite work out. Oh, the airplane shoot. Yes, Rick. That is on the 26th. Oh, Rick, of course you'd love that. Yeah, for sure. That's right up your alley. So on July 26th, it's a Sunday. That's when the airplane shoot is going on. No porta potties for Michelle either. So I guess I'm not the only one who just thinks that's weird. Or I am the only one who thinks that's
You are
weird.
the other one.
Yeah.
Shouldn't roll with that either, man.
Well, better to have a porta potty and not use it than,
That is true.
Right? So
That is true. If the session was to go on for any, another 2 hours or so, I probably would have used it, but I just forget about it. I don't have to go again for another 3 hours. So
there you go.
Not good, but
just put out your mind over matter, right? Michelle says the promo material that I read suggested that you would be shooting, and there would be time left over for him to do the photo reviews. Yes. Is that for? I guess that's for Martin's session, or for Joe McNally?
McNally, I would assume.
Okay. It's tough with the timeline of the Q&A sometimes to know exactly what you're referring to. So if folks are adding to the Q&A, maybe a little more detail, and then we can follow along to what comment you're referring to a little easier. And of course, my mother's watching tonight. Hi, Mom. And she says, good show so far, Brian and Nabby. Thank you very much, Mom.
Thanks.
She's awesome. Okay, back to the photos. And yeah, Chris and Julie were up in Barrie. Awesome stuff. It is such a great element to have water. In fact, when we were doing our session, one of the comments was it would be much better if there was water in the shot. And I said, there is water. Look, the grass is wet. So, how can Rick get one of the tickets? I will let Martin know you want one, Rick. How about that? Navi, are you going to talk to Martin soon?
I won't be back until Saturday.
All right, well, I'll see him tomorrow, so I'll mention it to him. And I will give him your email, Rick, and he will contact you, and bada boom, bada bing.
All right.
Cool. Okay, so the next photo. Thank you, by the way, for your photos, Chris and Julie. Beautiful stuff. And you know what? To me, one of the other things I really appreciate about the two of you going out shooting, it really lends to the whole community that we've tried to grow. How people who meet each other through the community, whether it's this one or another one, or whatever macro community or whoever you involve yourself with on the internet, when you meet people this way and you go out and you make these photos, it's more than just making pictures. It's having moments with friends and creating bonds. And, I can't say enough for that. And there's been some session or some photo walks that I've gone on, and Julie's been there and all these folks have been there. And it's just really great to hang out with everybody outside of our normal lives. And we all have that same common interest. And that's what I like the most about the two of you guys going out together and making those photos. So thank you so much for submitting them, as always, and great work. Thank you. All right. So where are you at? You're with Robert here. Roberto. Okay, Michelle was referring to the Joe McNally session, and that's the one where there'd be the review after time. Oh, cool. That's awesome. Very cool. That's good. And you're welcome, Rick. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that McNally session. I can't wait. And plus, there's another one of those experiences where a bunch of us are going to take the train down together, and every time we do this, we have great memories and great times, so it should be fun. Okay, Robert, let's have a look at your shot here. Sorry to squirrel a little bit there. I think this is one of them that we were talking about where getting focus is a little bit more difficult, eh? This was, I believe this was taken on our photo session.
Yes.
And it was really tough sometimes because the fireworks were quite a ways away. We didn't know exactly how large they'd be, and safety is...
How high they'd be either.
Some of them were like...
It happened so quickly.
I know, it's so true.
Even though we took our time, it still goes by. Now you're trying to get ready, but the next one will always be different from the first one.
Mm-hmm. Now, the bonus was at the beginning when we were able to say, okay, is everybody in focus? Is everybody ready? And then we'd launch them. But by 20 to 11, we were barely past the focus part, and we still had 4 more parts to go. So we ended up picking up the pace. So yeah, at some point, it did get a little bit more difficult. But by then, I thought everybody had the focus down, but you never really know. And this is why it's nice to have these review times afterwards so we can kind of go over this one more time. One of the things that I can see in a shot like this is the motion blur, or the blur of, I don't know, is it motion or is it, it's probably focus. I'm thinking it's focus. Yeah,
it's focus.
So this is one of those shots that, it's just a different focus. And I hope Robert had some other ones as well that he got sharper focus in. And I'm not sure if this is one that you submitted because you wanted us to give you some advice, but I don't think there's a lot of advice we can give other than this was a little bit out of focus. Have you got anything to add, Nev?
That's about it.
Okay. Well, Robert, you have full permission to submit many more fireworks photos if you'd like to. Just because. You never know. I'm sure you have some other ones. I'm really trying not to make that one sound so bad because it's pretty colors. It's nice. You know, you're focused in on the firework. You're close crop. It's not too wide. But it's just, if it were tack sharp, that would be a completely different thing, eh?
Yeah, I think also because that is the only thing in the shot. Like, there's no other, like, you know, backgrounds or foregrounds for a point of reference, whatever. This is what you're looking at, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of acting.
That's a great point. And I think that's exactly what it is, because there isn't other stuff in the photo that is sharp or in focus, or, you know, part of it. It has to be that much sharper.
Yeah.
Good point. All right. What's next?
So let's do Andrew's first here.
So this is an example, though, of where, like, when I first saw it, I thought beautiful, sharp, so excellent, sharp. When you zoom in a little bit, it's maybe not as sharp, but I think the color, the blue color with the contrasting colors as well, make it a more dynamic image.
And I like that it fills the frame in this photo.
Mm-hmm. So it works that there isn't other stuff in the shot because of the dynamic colors and the contrast, and it does fill the frame.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Zoom in more, then oops, moon.
And I think I got a lot of praise for Andrew. This is a brand new camera for him. I think this is probably the second time he used it during this shoot that he did right here.
Wow.
And I think the first time he used it was during our shoot the day before. So, you know, a lot of credit to you, Andrew, for getting used to your camera very quickly and getting out there and making some good use of it. Well done.
I was struggling, remember, with my hipster camera the whole time. I had terrible photos.
Yes.
I got like one good photo that I sort of liked, but everything else was like, where are all these buttons?
It's true. It's really hard, especially when it's a new camera with different focusing and, you know, different stuff. It's really hard to get perfect results.
Yeah. Okay, so Blake's, he submitted a couple. I think we decided we're going to talk about this one here.
Yeah. So Blake submitted 4 images, and a lot of them were cool. In fact, I originally wanted to talk about the little Running Man dude because that was very isolated and interesting. But this is a much better photo to really get into the different techniques that Blake used. Blake, in fact, might be on the show. I'm going to send him an invite because he had another hangout beforehand with his own cohort in the Arcanum. But if he can get into this conversation at this point in time, that would be really cool. He did a lot of freehand stuff, not on a tripod.
Yeah, I watched him. He was standing next to me when he was shooting. He was just, you know, kind of twisting and moving his camera around. I love the shots that he had. Like, I love this. It's very abstract. It's not your typical fireworks photo. It actually reminds me of like Stardust.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can zoom in, you can see all the sort of the motion and the movement and the whirly-woos.
It's funny. In the comments, Marjorie McDonald says it's a galaxy or a nebula or something. Yeah. Super cool. And Blake says he sees a light monster, a big pack in the middle as the head. The swoop of the light on the left is going up to light his arm. The other one is gathering on the right. So you can see something in it everywhere. But most importantly, it's in focus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can get right into it, and every little line is sharp and clean and defined. So really interesting technique. Well done.
How abstract it is. It looks like one of those wallpapers, you know, your desktop wallpaper.
Yeah. I might crop the bottom away.
Yeah, it's just this part here.
Yeah, just to have it fill the frame a little bit more. Yeah, there you go. That's something you can definitely use in other images as backgrounds and things too. Just to quickly deviate for a quick second, Andrew says, yeah, he's pretty much a newbie with the camera, but you're doing really well with it. And that photo he submitted, by the way, was straight out of the camera, no crop.
Nice.
Very cool. Don Komarechka says he's just tuning in now. He has a quick thought. Did anyone experiment with shifting the focus during an exposure? you can create some very twisted lines that become thicker and thinner as it shifts shift focus around. In fact, Don, yes, Joe LeDuc submitted a photo for this challenge that used that technique. I tried it a few times during the event, but by then we didn't really have a lot of time, as much time as I had hoped. So focus blur is one of the things that we talked about in our presentation during the event that we had. I had hoped that people were going to try it on their own. And as of yet, the only image I've seen from it was Joe's, and it's pretty cool. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, let's get into the next photo in the challenge. And I think, Nav, you already have it open there.
Yep.
Martin's photo. So this is interesting. I asked Martin a question. I try not to, by the way, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but I try not to comment too much on people's photos that they submit for the photo challenge ahead of the show. I don't know if it's the right thing to do to comment and make opinions based on your photos before the show. I think I like to save it for the show. So if anybody's a little bit wondering why I don't comment too many times on photos for the photo contest, that's the reason why. I think that I save it for the show. But for Martin's case, I had to ask him, is this a composite in any way or a hat trick or something like that, or is it all just a single image? And he says it's just a single shot. He swung his camera over to the right where like he set up originally in one place, and then all of a sudden the fireworks ended up way over to the right, so he had to swing his camera over and barely get the shot. And of course, the fireworks were not where he had hoped they would be. So you can see there, he's got a bit of a light problem that came up on his shot. Before we get to it too much, though, I just want to say howdy to my buddy Blake. Made it into the hangout. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Sorry I'm a little late there, but
Hello, Blake.
as fast as I could. Hey, Navi.
Yeah, you had your hangout with Ron and your Arcanum cohort, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, nothing.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you made it. We just finished talking about your photos.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know, man. We ripped you a new one. It was pretty funny. No, we were talking how it was really cool how you shot handheld.
Yeah.
So we're going to get back to it as soon as we're done looking at Martin's photo, because I don't want to take away from what Martin's done here.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, we'll talk about that in just a sec. So what could we have done in a situation like this? And this is the problem with a public fireworks display. You may think that the fireworks are going off over on your left, and then they end up going off over on your right, and you've already sat down, and you've already got your tripod set up, and there's people all over the place because people tend to gather like sheep for fireworks in one common place. And it's a little bit funky, isn't it? I mean, you can't really predict exactly where it's going to be. So what do you do when you notice all of a sudden your fireworks are behind a huge street light? Navi, any thoughts?
I guess it depends on how much room you have to your left and your right.
Just get up and
how
move.
much time you have. You know, if you're sort of in a hurry and you're just shooting, then you don't. Because sometimes you don't see these things through your own eye. Like, you know, a lot of times I'll be driving, like, oh, that's a really nice scene, and then I kind of take another look and then I notice all these, you know, wires that if I took a picture, it'd be all in the photo. So sometimes we just see past it.
And you would notice that, like you say, in a photo because you're shooting with longer exposures, you're gathering more light, and all of a sudden this stuff starts to appear.
Yeah, especially at night.
Yeah. Have you got something to add there, Blake?
Yeah, I was just going to say is like the most you can do on this one is literally get up and move, and that can be a bit of an issue. If you know it's a big place, you can, you know, one thing he can make note of in the future is, okay, last time I came here, I sat behind this pole, and the fireworks are in this area. Don't sit here again.
Learn from it.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's the biggest thing. I did fireworks at Wonderland when I think this is Wonderland as well, correct?
Yes, that's what he said. Yeah.
And I was in the park, and you know, I remember them from when I was a kid. They used to do them around the mountain, and they don't do them around the mountain anymore. They're off to the left-hand side. So I swung my camera around, and I still had a good clear shot, but I had the buildings in my way, like they were filling up the bottom of my thing. And I just found them to be a bit of a distraction every single time. And it's not like you can really move around your camera too much at that point, because then you're gonna have these blurry buildings all over the place, or the buildings suddenly move. It's like that's not what you want.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they gave some better indication of where they're launching things to the crowd that's waiting.
Yeah, because everyone was looking towards the mountain, and all of a sudden, boo, off to our left, and we're like, what the hell?
Not good. Stanislav asks, is this a multiple exposure technique? Well, as I mentioned a few seconds ago, I actually asked Martin about that, and he says, no, this is just a single image that he shot. He shot at f/18 for 15 seconds. So with such a small aperture, f/18, the longer exposure was okay. It didn't give too many hot spots, and that was the reason I asked the question in the first place. Because if you get this many fireworks in one shot, usually there's overlap. And during a long exposure, when one firework goes off in front of another, it creates a really big hot spot, which is why I always talk about the hat trick. You know, put a hat in front of the lens every 2 seconds, or when the firework goes off, move the hat for 2 seconds, put it back. That way you're not exposing continuously. You're only exposing for 2 seconds at a time, and each firework is just a small blast. It's not this huge amount of light overlapping itself. So in a way, as Martin said, he kind of made lemonade from lemons. You know, he realized he was in this bad spot, so he shut down his aperture and he shot in a portrait position instead of a landscape. And I think you saved a really interesting shot. Your fireworks are nice and sharp and clean. It's a great spread of light, and yeah, you've even got a triangle created by the light on top, which is interesting.
The only other thing I could think of is if you wanted to try to get that pull out of the way, would possibly be something like the Continental Wear fill, which might be able to pull that together. But yeah, that would be a tough one.
Crop the top away and then just
all the patterns here.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that, Navi? I cut you off.
I was gonna say, I think it'd be hard to do that effectively because of all the different patterns, and like.
Well, it's mostly straight. It's mostly just curved lines coming down, similar to hair and stuff. And I've seen people do Continental Wear with hair. Really, it's just fine lines and stuff. But yeah, it's a very small area. It's gonna probably give Photoshop fits, and you might have to work in portions and stuff just to make it blend.
Yeah.
But it's there, you know. I've done enough hair retouching recently that drives me up the wall. I know it's possible, just it's not fun.
Well said, well said. All right, well, thank you, Martin, for submitting. Let's have a look at the next photo.
Looney bin.
Looney bin. Okay, so Shelly and I are out in the middle of a field at a school, and I bring the looney bin and a couple of. Actually, I brought this out first with maybe 2 or 3 other fireworks, just little, you know, just bursts. And we were kind of nervous about going. We haven't lit fireworks on our own before. So we brought the little ones. We lit them off first, and Shelly was like, her eyes are getting bigger after each one. And then finally I said, should I do the looney bin? This is crazy. And she's like, yeah, do it. So I lit it, and we just stood back, and you should have seen her face. It was awesome. So as soon as these were over, we packed everything up. We went home, and I grabbed a whole bunch of more fireworks, and we went back, and I lit the Saturn missiles, and I lit a whole bunch of other big ones that pew, 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 just going off like for 100 missiles in a row. Oh, it was awesome. So this isn't part of the contest, obviously. It was just I thought that it was cool with the smoke coming out, and I used a flashlight to light the smoke, and that was that. Okay, Charity. Did you skip a few, or are they just out of order on your screen compared to mine? Okay, so you're going back the other way. All right, cool. Go for it. Love the color in this shot. Now, I don't know if it's rendering right on the screen, but if I zoom right in, it's not perfectly sharp, but it's sharp enough.
Yes.
You know, you actually have some decent definition to the individual blasts and the fire coming out and the color, which is neat. But just a little bit more sharpness would have been so much more impactful, you know? So it was 1/60th of a second f4, 1600 ISO. Maybe that's all part of it. See, it's been said that you shouldn't really learn from other people's photos from their EXIF information. I'm a firm believer that you can learn a lot from EXIF, and I have learned a lot from EXIF. And when you look at a picture like this and you realize that it was shot at 1600 ISO at a 60th of a second, my first thought is probably either not on a tripod, one of those moments where you've got your camera and you want to make some photos, so you're trying to keep it steady as possible, or if it is on a tripod, it's very short bursts in the 60th of a second, so you're not getting these long streaks, which is why you see so many neat little dots instead of long streaks, right? So this is what you can learn from EXIF. 1600 ISO from a Canon T3. If you zoom in and you try and bring up your shadows, you're probably going to notice a lot of graininess to the shot. But it's really not that bad. 1600 ISO for that kind of grain is pretty good.
It's pretty good, actually. I was surprised to see that it was 1600.
Yeah.
Shadows are pretty dark and,
I think it's interesting. If you can zoom in to that right there where you are, that little cloud, the red cloud in the center, it's a little, yeah, right in there. If you look at it as its full screen, it's really nice depth to that section right there. It's very cool. Aha! Andrew said he would give Charity kudos for this shot. She forgot her tripod and was shooting handheld. See what you can learn from XIF. I almost know what I'm talking about. So shooting handheld to go to a 60th of a second shutter speed was a huge asset. If you were shooting at 15 seconds like I was, and you were trying to handhold that, I mean, Blake, what was the exposure on your handheld shots? It's probably a couple seconds.
Actually, no. They're what was I doing here?
The one that we chose was 15 seconds.
Yep, they're all about 15 seconds.
Yeah. So really long exposure, but you still got great focus on it, which was really interesting. And we'll talk about
the depth of field. Yeah. All right, we'll get to it later.
Yeah. Stop talking. Joking.
Why did you ask me to be on here?
I know, right? Jerk. All right, so just back to Charity's shot here. Very interesting, and Andrew, thank you for giving us your input on that. A lot of people, they try and make photos handheld with no tripod. Either you forget it. I know that when I was up in Algonquin last time, I forgot my entire bag of tripods, my monopod, my tripod, everything. I was so pissed off. I was trying to do long exposures of waterfalls when we were up there. I wanted to do star trails and all this really cool stuff. I couldn't do any of it. So it's a bummer, but well done for you to adjust your settings so that you can choose a shutter speed that's hand-holdable to at least get the photo that you got. So that's really well done. Kudos, as Andrew said. Anything else to add, Natstar?
No, I think you covered it. I think, if it was on a tripod, she would have shot at a higher f-stop to get more focus, but obviously she's trying to get in as much light as possible without going too slow, so, good job on that. Most of my photos that I've attempted in the past, trying to do firework handheld, turned out to be a bunch of poop, so not like this. It's better to use my phone now on.
Yeah, really, the phone actually does a decent job sometimes.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go back to Blake's photo since we're in between shots right now.
Which one? Anyone?
The one that we talked about. So the comment we gave Blake was potentially a little bit of a crop at the bottom, just to kind of isolate in a little bit, but that's it. The image is awesome. The focus that you have, the sharpness for a 15-second exposure, and this was handheld, wasn't it?
Yep.
So explain. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, what were you saying?
I was just going to ask you to explain your technique.
Oh, I don't remember the camera down here, but literally, here's my old one here. I would start the exposure, so 15 seconds, click, and usually the first thing I would start doing is actually rotating the camera around, trying to keep it as centered as possible.
Huh.
So I was literally going back this way, swing it back around, zoom, turn around. On a couple of them I played with the focus as well. That's the one where you got like the really interesting bokeh effect on it. That's zoom and focus being thrown at a whack. So I was going all over the place. So I was just like back and forth, moving around, panning a little bit, zoom in, zoom out.
Very cool.
And this is literally what I ended up with. So the one thing I really enjoyed about it was I had an idea of what I was attempting to do, basically do light painting by moving my camera around instead of having the light move around with them moving while they actually were exploding. So it kind of made for an interesting concept, and I had no idea what my finished product was going to come out like.
Right.
I was like, all right, it's going to be a happy accident. It's an intentional happy accident every single time because I had no idea what it's actually going to come out looking like. It's going to be a surprise. Came out looking really awesome and some really unique shapes came out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had I was just like, you know what? I know this works. I'm going to keep doing it. And just so it came out with, and I came with a lot of really neat ones. I was like, this is really different.
Very well done. It's a lot of fun when, like, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, all right, I've already got cool fireworks photos, so I can just play. You know, I can just try this or try that, and the more you do that, and obviously the experience probably taught you a few things about how to do it for next time. So,
Well, if I want normal fireworks, don't do this handheld.
that's true.
It's possible, as we've just seen, but don't. Yeah, I went all sorts, because it's part of this is why I started goofing around with when I was on one of the Fire and Ice sessions.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Yeah, you guys decided to do one big last blast, and I'm like, my tripod's in my bag, my camera's here, still set on long exposure. So what am I gonna do? Start moving the camera all the way through. It's like that worked really cool.
So you did it once. That led you to try it again.
Yep.
And each time you do that, you're going to get a little bit, more consistent and a little bit better understanding of where the light's going to stream and what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it right. Do it as often as you can and really practice at it. I remember my mother, who apparently is watching now as well, which is really cool. She asked me, how do you take pictures of fireworks? Because for July 4th, she lives down in Florida and wanted to make some shots. So I sent her all these detailed ways, okay, this setting, this shutter speed, this aperture, this ISO, make sure you do this, da-da-da-da-da. And the one thing I forgot to post was use a tripod. So my poor mom, I think she was frustrated with the fireworks. So when she's up visiting in September, when we do the photo expo, on our night photography class, I'm going to spend a minute or two with her and help her out. That should be a lot of fun. Okay, let's move along. So I think we were either with Amy. Yeah, there we are. Now here is where we start talking about having different elements in the photo. The firework itself, I'm just zooming in here nice and close on my own screen. Yeah, she's got good focus.
Mm-hmm.
It does look a little over-processed. I don't know if that's sharpening or clarity or something. But it does look, I don't know, there's a bit of a glow around the firework, which makes me think there's some processing going on. I may be wrong. But nonetheless, it's a great blast that she has in the shot, a lot of detail. I love the foreground element with the little bit of grass. It gives a sense of scale. And the smoke coming off the ground, it looks, this is a higher ISO? Yeah, it is about 400. So it's bringing up a lot of the detail in the backgrounds. It's not as low of ISO as the camera could possibly go, which would give you a blacker sky. You can even see some stars up above. It's a really neat shot. I love shots like this where you actually have some relation to the ground, so you get scale from it,
Yeah.
Anything else to add, guys?
Well, the only thing we were talking about earlier was the moon. I assume this is the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big space station.
Or UFO. I don't know. Like, how do you feel about, in a shot like this to have the moon there?
It's funny. In a way, sometimes it can work. In my experience, it never does. I gave the example earlier of when I was shooting at Barrie, and I took the shot, and I kept on trying to do the side-to-side photos, so I'd have different blasts in different places, and I ended up with multiple moons in the shot. So in that way, it doesn't work at all. It's almost a balancing element in this photo, but I don't know.
I find it a little bit distracting, just because it's sort of competing with like the brightness of the moon and the fireworks, right?
It is true that.
Yeah, the only reason it doesn't quite win out is because the fireworks is just so much damn bigger.
Yeah.
But like, it is a nice natural element to be thrown in there. You got like that little glare coming off of it, and more.
It's interesting to see how much lighter the sky is. Right?
Yeah.
The clouds over there versus on the left. I think it's kind of cool, but
it is, and it almost gives a neat little shadow to the smoke coming off the ground. Having that moon so bright gives a different light source for the smoke. So yeah, I think what you're talking about, Blake, is the burst effect coming off the moon from the smaller aperture.
Yeah.
I think if this were shot at maybe f/16 or something like that, there'd be even more of that burst, more of the starburst coming off the moon, and that might give it a little bit more of a dynamic look. But in this case, like what Navi was just doing, zooming in a little bit so that the moon is out of the shot, it is a completely different feel, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. This is what your focus is on.
That's right.
Versus the canvas.
See, for me, when you mentioned the grass down on the ground in the front, I actually want to see more of that. Like, I'd actually go beyond a lower angle, bring in a little bit more in, and such. Because right now it's just like a bit of a distraction because there's so few of them that you only see the tops of them, or like half of them kind of thing. Like, wouldn't mind being a little bit lower, but really, she did a great job getting, exposure, getting detail throughout the trees, as well as the fireworks, as well, the clouds and everything else. Moon, that's a give or take thought. Some people think that's gonna be really cool kind of idea, and like the timing. That comes down to, I think, personal preference. Yeah, it gives a bit of a distraction, but also acts as that balancing factor, as Brian was saying. So it's personal preference to me at that point.
It is, and I think that just the fact that we've had a conversation about it, if Amy's watching or watches this after the fact, she will think twice about that herself and either leave it in or not based on her personal wants for the photos. So it's just things that we're mentioning to think about while you're out making these photos. And if you feel that it belongs, put it. If you feel it doesn't belong because we've mentioned something, then try without. But yeah, I think the fact that we've had conversation about it is a great place to start. So thank you so much, Amy, for submitting this photo, and let's just move along to the next one.
Number 14, you said, Brian?
Yeah. For Richard?
This one?
Yeah. No.
Oh.
Where is it? Number 14. Where is number 14?
14?
The second to last one.
That's what I just said.
No, down. That one.
Yeah.
There you go.
This one?
That one.
Are you sure?
Well, now you're at number 15.
Okay.
Back one.
Back one. 14.
There's 14.
That's what I just had up.
Yeah.
But you said no.
Maybe I was confused.
Well, now I'm
delay.
All right. Well, we've got it right now. Okay. So, Richard, first of all, I think this is the first time you've submitted for our photo challenges, so thank you so much for doing that. Richard's a friend of mine through Henry's, and he does so much work, missionary work in Africa and church group work and so on. And every time I talk to him, he's going back to Africa again for another 2 or 3 week trip. Well, he's leaving for Africa again very shortly if he's not gone already, and he's taking his wife, and he's actually making like a vacation of it, where normally it's all charity work and so on. So good for you, Richard. I hope you have a great, safe time and come back with some amazing images. Again, this is one of the things I love about this community is everybody. You get to hear the stories and where they're coming from, which is really
he helps with building hospitals.
Yes, that's what it is. That's what it is. So he does a lot of great work for a lot of people that need help, and mazel tov, as my mother would say. Okay, so let's talk about the shot. I love the color. You submitted 15 photos. Blame the confusion on lag time. Yes, that's what it is. It's lag time. Thanks, Andrew. He's out for me. I appreciate that. He's there for me. Okay, so back to the photo. Blake, what do you think about a shot like this?
One, I do like the fact that we get all the different colors coming through again. The blue really comes up, and you get like the nice contrast with the red tinge coming through with the other ones. It is definitely about the fireworks. You can see a bit of, I'm guessing, I think there's a bit of trees off to the right-hand side and like through the shadowing and such. But
is that trees or smoke?
It could be.
I think that's
the lower right. It looks like trees to me. It looks a little too.
Maybe it is.
Yeah. So kind of makes me wonder, like, is it multiple exposure, or is it just some low shooting fireworks and such, or do we have the angle of it? I guess those trees would have been in front because if you actually look, the blue one, the bottom right corner of the blue one, right other side.
Yeah,
right,
actually, I know what you're saying. And in some of the other photos, it looked like there was some gaps where trees were in there.
Trees are in front. Okay,
Good
so
eye.
there you go.
That's a good eye.
So like the actual overall shot, I think you did a great job getting the different colors and the contrast and the different shapes coming through.
Mm.
Putting a foreground element where it's a silhouette, it's this one. You can see that it's defined, but it's really hard to pick out what it is, because I guess it's defining in certain spots, but otherwise it just looks like there's breakups in some of the lines.
Navi, do me a favor and move forward an image. You can see the trees a lot.
Yep,
right?
there.
And that's what you're seeing, Blake.
Yeah. So this would be one of those ones where if I was going to do a foreground silhouette, I would need more light than that just to create the silhouette to shoot through the trees. But his actual shot of the fireworks themselves, I think, is actually really, really good. He got like it's stable. It's like I said, got great shapes to them.
Yeah, nice focus. You can zoom into 100% and see nice, clear, defined dots and so on. Cool.
Yep.
Anything else to add, Navi?
No, I was I didn't see these at all. The trees. It was a good eye.
Yeah, no doubt. That's why he's here.
It's sharp. It's in focus. I like that you could see all the little bits and pieces of it, and smoke and stuff. That was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Good job, Richard, and thank you so much for submitting. And keep it up. Keep submitting for our challenges. We've got a good challenge this week coming up, so lots of people will be able to work on this one.
We got a lot of really nice ones like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Shells.
I think this is kind of funny in a way. This was actually shot on our session as well. And I'm pretty sure it's the same firework that I submitted that's next to it. So I think that's kind of cool. It's either one before or one after. And the major difference between our two photos is that your photo, Michelle, is 2.4 seconds, and my photo was 15 seconds. So with a longer exposure, a lot of more stuff came out. Doesn't mean it's better. It's just an observation. That's all I'm saying. I actually like yours a lot. It reminds me of the Italian flag for some reason. I don't know why. But it's a really neat, nice color, great focus, great detail. And the fact that it doesn't have such a long exposure allows for all the small little details to come through. All those little bursts, where your mouse is, all those little guys, you don't see that in my photo. And the fact that you get all that little detail is a huge addition to the shot. So here's a shorter exposure really made a huge difference. Anything else to add there, Navi?
I like it. I like the like you're saying the shorter exposure. It's nice to see the different variations, because you always see a lot of the really long streaks and just like the a huge sky full of fireworks and 10, 15 second exposures or whatever. But it's kind of nice seeing shorter ones too, that you can see the little burst like that, and you can see the point of impact.
And I think it's really a big tell that Michelle was trying different things. One photo was this, one photo was that, experimenting, trying different techniques that we've talked about. So she just replies, it makes her think of The Matrix. Kinda, yeah, definitely.
See, for me, I just went into like a whole anime kind of thing, because there's so many times where you see like these little spirit type things floating around something bigger. It's like one of their common themes in anime, where you always have small spirits or ghosts or whatever surrounding larger ones, more powerful ones and whatnot. And I just see these three, almost like the 3 or 4 of them in the middle that are like the big powerful guys, and these little ones are just kind of floating around, just falling along, being protected and stuff.
Neat. Yeah, there's a lot of story going on here, especially when you have those different life experiences like Blake with his anime background and and so on. So that's really neat. Great that you see that. All right, beautiful stuff, Michelle. Anything else to add, Navi, before we move along?
No, I think it's a great shot.
Cool. And
I got a question.
Okay, go for it.
Just came up in the Q&A. Do you set fixed shutter speed? I am a big fan of. I'm guessing he means a big fan of bulb mode.
It's a good question, Stan. Do you set shutter speeds or just put it in bulb mode? There's different ways of doing this, and I think that's what I was really getting at with Michelle's. Is she tried different things. when I was talking about the hat trick and I was talking about all these different abilities to do zoom blur and so on, I was talking about bulb mode, where you would just lock the shutter open and cover the lens. What I ended up doing was just putting my camera in burst, like continuous shooting, 15-second exposures, locking the shutter, and that way it would just take a 15-second exposure, one after the other, after the other, after the other, for the rest of the night, and I was just able to go around and help people answering questions. So for me, it was a fixed 15-second exposure pretty much the entire night. But as you can see, the people who were at our session were trying all different things. Blake, you were going 15 seconds. You were probably going slower shutter speeds, faster shutter speeds. Is that right?
I didn't use bulb mode mainly because on the actual port for the remote on my camera broke. Bloody thing just popped. Like, it's an issue with the D800 where the pin connector actually breaks off a little bit and ends up floating, so you can't actually connect anything.
I remember that.
So I can't really do bulb mode unless I'm going click, 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 which on a tripod kind of defeats the purpose, because every time I'm clicking, I'm shaking the damn camera anyways. So I was just, then when I went handheld, I was just like, you know what, I'm set on 15 seconds, I'm just going to work with it. And sometimes I was doing 8, sometimes I was doing 20, sometimes whatever, but 15 seconds seemed to give me really defined lights as I'm going through and not overblowing anything.
Yeah, I think the one common trait for a lot of people, though, was full manual, where you control aperture and shutter speed.
Yeah.
Not just like shutter priority where you're choosing your shutter speed, because then the aperture will bounce around. And like Navi suggested earlier, the smaller apertures are going to give you more depth of field, which therefore would give you a better chance of achieving focus on whatever you're shooting. Now, I know a lot of us are shooting with wide-angle lenses, and that helps with that. When you shoot wide, it stretches out your depth of field. But shooting with a slightly smaller aperture does a few things. It darkens up the sky a little bit, gives you more of a burst to your lights. As we talked about before, a smaller aperture gives you that starburst effect to lights, and it also gives you a better focus ability. So I'd shoot manual exposure completely, whether it's on bulb mode or different shutter speeds. That would just change with whatever effect you're trying for. All right, very cool. What's next? Oh, mine. Yeah, no, we don't need to look at mine.
I just want to point out how cool it is that you can see, the source, and you can see this truck, and there's all this information down here. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, I wanted to get the ground in the shot again for scale more than anything.
Yeah.
And this is one of those photos, though, that I didn't realize how much Sean's truck would be illuminated by the fireworks.
Awesome.
So I didn't really see the truck and the trailer out there to my eye because it was so dark. But when
it's very cinematic to me, with like the smoke and the trees in the front and the trees in the back and everything. Those were really great shot.
Thanks, Navi.
Yeah.
But it's center of the frame, so it fails.
What?
It's center of the frame, it fails.
Oh. Delete.
What happened? What did I miss?
You put it in the center of the frame. How dare you?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, dead center is deadly, but whatever. Call it a close call.
It's a great shot. It's a great shot.
All right, so this is Joe's photo. Okay, Joe submitted 2 shots, and generally when somebody submits more than one photo, we're only going to talk about one of them, but we're going to talk about both of Joe's photos. This one first, because this is showing what was asked earlier when Don commented. Here is the focus blur. It's a great example of focus blur. I tried doing it during our session, failed. It's a very difficult thing to do, and for Joe to make this image, it almost looks like a sea anemone. It's got this fluid kind of motion feel to it, and that center, the way the I don't even know, the blast is centered right in the center with little swirly bits and red right at the core. Awesome shot. Very cool effect. To look at this photo, please look at it on your own computer, not on this. Not on the playback. What's that?
It looks like a flower.
It does. It really does. If you didn't know this was a firework, you would think it was a flower.
No, not at all. It looks like it's sort of like a painting of a flower of some sort.
Mm-hmm. I'm clicking +1 right now on it.
That's well done.
There you go. What do you think, Blake?
I think you hit it right on, like, hitting the nail on the head with everything. It's like, it's beautifully, even though you're the focus being defocused, it's still incredibly sharp. The color on it and the getting that spot right in the middle being that bright with the red come around, it just draws your eye right in. And yeah, it kind of feels like either it's going to be super soft when you put your face in there, or it's going to wrap around your face and kill you.
I had never thought of putting my face in the middle of a firework until just then. All right, well, that's really cool.
Done.
Excellent. Well done, Joe. Let's look at his other photo, too.
What's this one? Oh, it's only 2. Okay.
Yeah. And the reason I wanted to look at this is obviously a composite. This is something that he has pieced together many fireworks over top of one main image. I wanted to show this photo just because each individual blast that you see is clear, sharp, and good focus, which is awesome. Great color. And then he's able to blend them all into one shot in a way that they overlap each other. They are working with each other in some parts, and it's not just cold static blocks of fireworks. They actually look like they belong in the same frame. It's very hard. I can't do composites well, so every time I see a composite that I think is done well, it really impresses me.
Where is this? Does it say? Or does he say where this was shot?
Markham. Markham.
Cool.
Yeah. Excellent work. Joe was at our session. He pitched in some really great wise words during the session as well, so I appreciate that and thank him for that. Amazing photographer. Joe is actually going to be one of the speakers at the Daytripper Expo, which I'm so excited about because he's a super inspirational guy. What's this you've got here you're showing, Blake?
Don, Master Don there just sent us a link quickly in the Q&A, and this is his focus blur.
By the way, he does not like being called Master Don. I'm just saying. I've done that. He doesn't like it. So
Don K.
Don Komarechka is my master in the Arcanum, so that's why I would joke about that. Okay, so he says, just want to show another image in the same vein, shot last year. Sorry, couldn't get out the fireworks this year. And this is his focus blur technique. Really, really cool shot. So when go ahead.
I was just gonna say he pushed it a lot, the blur part, a lot farther than what Joseph Joe Leduc did, and you can see how the effect is completely different between the two of them. It's like you get a lot more fine detail in Joe's, I think, but Don, you get this just crazy explosion of colors leading everywhere.
It's like a Pink Floyd concert, just totally tripped out into the sky.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm on acid or something.
Which, some people would enjoy. But what's unique about Joe's is how isolated it is. You can really focus on just like a single flower.
Yeah.
Where with Don's, you're getting the massive visual impact of all these different colors and swirls and different ability with that focus. But they're both really interesting and unique, and I totally encourage people to get out there at your next fireworks opportunity and try focus blur. It's not an easy technique to master, but when you get a shot that works, holy cow, it's a really cool effect. So, yeah, thanks, Don, for sharing that. That's really cool.
It looks like giant pieces of pomegranate flying at your face.
Okay, pomegranate. And it's good for you, too, apparently. All right, I think we have one photo remaining. And it's a different photo than I remember Heather posted originally.
Where is it? I have to refresh?
Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But this is a shot originally said my fireworks photo submission from the Calgary Stampede this week. And it was a different photo. So this is really interesting.
This is really neat.
It almost looks like you're walking through Toronto during a light festival.
I like how you see all the little individual pieces or sparkles.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So this looks like a shorter exposure. 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
At f/22. So super small aperture, really blocked out all the ambient light. A 2-second exposure, just got the small little twinkles of light. So yeah, you can learn something from your EXIF information. Very cool, very cool. Sean says he's in for the next one, just lost a little hair. It's okay, Sean, you didn't have a lot of hair to lose.
Oh!
Not like he's balding, he's got short hair. It's not like he's me. So yeah, no, Sean was awesome, and I'm glad you're watching, buddy. The For the grand finale, I could have sworn somebody was going to explode with all the fireworks that he was launching off. He must have just sat there touching off the wick like right down this whole row, and the entire thing just went up. It was so crazy. Sorry, back to Heather's photo. I'm squirreling very easily here. Have you got anything else to add about Heather's shot there, Navi?
No, I really like this. I like that you can, like I said, I like that you can see every little bit because it's stopped down so far, and it's a shorter duration. Huh. I would have liked to see. I would be curious to see what this would have looked like with the focus blur, as well. Interesting.
With focus blur, I'm confused about how much you'd change your focus. You know what I mean? Like with Joe's, yeah, as Blake suggested with Don's photo, he pushed the focus a little bit further, so there's more of a glow. Or with Joe's, he might have just moved it a smidge. Because when I was trying it, I was taking my focus ring and just going reefing on it, and all I got was just a fully blurred photo. So I think you really have to be very cautious when you're doing a focus blur, just to go a smidge. But just a thought. Anything to add on this here, Blake?
It's very unique compared to the other ones because even the more concrete lines of the fireworks going off are still dotted all the way through, where we're used to seeing them just kind of go all the way through. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it definitely makes an interesting. It definitely makes it for an interesting fireworks photo compared to what we're used to seeing, those straight lines going through. The one thing I did notice is that it kind of loses color compared to the other ones. I'm not sure if that's just the fireworks chosen or if there's something, if you just didn't pick up the color as much as because it's a shorter exposure and you're stopped down so much. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to say on that one. So that's it's almost like a black and white fireworks, which is interesting. But after seeing all the colors, it's kind of like, kind of puzzle out why now. But still, I think the concept and the way it came out was just phenomenal because you actually get to see, like, it looks like you're actually getting all the ambers and stuff the embers that are just burning is what we're actually catching instead of just a long streak coming through. Really cool.
Well, again, with that really, not a fast shutter speed. I don't want to say fast, but comparatively speaking, a 2-second exposure is a lot faster than what like a 15-second would be.
Yeah.
So you are getting a little bit of a spiral up, but with this particular firework, it probably just was one of those crackly fireworks, not the big starburst fireworks.
Yeah.
So that's just a really neat effect that she was able to get. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. All right. Well, I think we've picked out our winner. Are we still on with the same winner that we originally picked there, Navi?
I'd say so, yes.
Yes? All right. Well, it was a tough choice this week because there was a lot of neat techniques. There was a lot of neat patterns and colors that we were able to get from our fireworks. So I'm going to quickly do something here before we announce the winner of this week's photo challenge, as I'm sure Navi is preparing to highlight it for us as soon as I can do the whole... The winner this week is... Are you ready? Yes.
I'm ready.
Joe LeDuc's photo with the zoom blur, or the focus blur.
Yeah.
There it is. Lots of great photos this week, guys. Choosing this one is just, it has an impact. It has that sharpness, the clarity, the technique, and the singular vision to show a specific thing. Instead of a huge, big emotion, it's giving you just a single, I'm going to say like a flower. It's really nice moment and shot here. So, excellent stuff, Joe. Thank you so much for contributing to our photo challenge. And everybody, great work this week. Anything else to add, Blake?
No.
No? Good?
No. I think that's about it.
All right.
We got a bunch of comments coming in about Don's left some stuff regarding how much to change your focus, as does Joe. So.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Joe. Amanda says, haha, the end was scary. Yes, it was. I'm sure you guys right at ground zero there when all the fireworks were going off for the grand finale, had a moment where you thought, oh my God, is this going to work?
Michelle says she saw somebody running. That was probably Amanda.
Yeah, probably. Either Amanda or Sean. You never know. But great stuff. Okay, so Stan actually was asking me previously, how do we submit photos for the photo challenge, and I tried to walk him through it, but it wasn't until today that I was on my computer and actually shared the link to the community with him. So now Stan is in the community, and he has a photo that he was going to share. It's okay, Stan. Feel free to post it right in the community right now. It'll be, we were supposed to finish up about 30 minutes ago, so. Oh, do you already have it open there, Navi? Oh no, that's still Joe's. Sorry, my bad. So submit it into the photo into the community anytime you like, and we'll all see that there. Oh, so Heather, she did submit a photo before. She says sorry she didn't like it. She liked this one better. I agree with you. Actually, they were both neat shots, but I think you made the right choice by submitting that one. Joe says he started defocused with a 2470, then twisted the barrel into focus quickly.
Ah.
Not all the images worked, and that's the part that we're all going to learn when we try and do these techniques is, you're going to get one happy surprise when you look at the photos afterward on your computer, and the majority are going to be, yeah, eh. But that one that works, just like this one, very cool effect. And yeah, Michelle, somebody was running for their life during the grand finale. And Don says, the more you change the focus, the wider the fireworks get. So you need to be cautious just to shift the focus to double or triple the width of the fireworks. You can estimate this through the viewfinder by shifting the focus before pressing the shutter. So that's a good idea. Do a test run beforehand. If you know that there's going to be lighting fireworks in the same place a couple in a row, like we were able to do during our event, you could have prepared on the first one and then shot on the second one with what you've learned. Very cool stuff. All right, thank you everybody very, very much for contributing to our photo challenge this week. And every week we have another photo challenge theme for you. And I will tell you what that theme is right now, if you're all ready. I just love sound effects. I'm so stupid like that. The photo challenge theme for the next 2 weeks is panoramic. That's right, panoramic. You can do all kinds of different panoramic photos these days. I noticed that Gabriel's behind-the-scenes photos from our event were awesome. In fact, I'll do a screen share here and I'll share some with you very quickly so that we don't keep everybody here all night. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so you can see he did a lot of panoramic stuff. Here's one right here. And it gives you a really good feel. You can see Sean's truck way down on the end. You can see us way over here, and you know how far things are. So shooting that panoramic gives you a very great vibe. And here's from the other side, giving that same feel. Ah, there's Trish cooking. Yeah, cool stuff. So yeah, shooting for panoramic is a lot of fun and very easy to do. More and more softwares these days are giving you the ability to merge panoramics. Lightroom now has panoramic built in. A lot of cameras these days have panoramic modes built in, so you just have to sweep across. I'm going to make a suggestion for a lot of folks who are... oh, look, two Blakes. What happened there?
My connection dropped somehow.
Okay, well, you're back. So, yeah, the panoramic thing, if you want to make a panoramic and you don't have a true panoramic head, a very easy way to do that is to take your camera, flip it into portrait mode, stand in the same place, and overlap 20% just by pivoting across. You want to overshoot as well, so get above and get below, especially in the middles, because when you merge these, there's going to be gaps in times. So the more photos you have, the more likelihood of no gaps and bigger image that you can work with when you merge that. So panoramic for next week is the challenge that I'd love to see. And because of that, it's actually next week, not next week, it's the week after. Next week's show topic is panoramic photography. So should be a fun topic next week. Hopefully Gabriel will be with us for next week's show, Navi and myself. And Blake, as always, when you pitch in, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I think he's dropped again. Oh, no, he's still there.
I'm here. I'm here. I was just popping up my... Well, you're talking about a handheld panoramics, and this is what I did with you. Going down... where were we? Up in Algonquin somewhere.
Ragged Falls.
Ragged Falls. So going... This is going... I started going down the waterfall and in vertical like in a portrait orientation, handheld, all the way up behind me, and that's where these rocks are. So.
Wow. Yeah, I know that location, and that's a great, wide, super awesome panoramic you made there.
So yeah, it's completely doable these days, handheld. You don't need the heads unless you're getting like you can hear it. It's like I was noticing, it's like I have good detail and everything all the way through. So
well,
give it a shot, people. It's
the
fun.
reason you would need a panoramic head wouldn't necessarily be for photos like that. It would be more landscape or real estate photography, where you might have a post in a room, and if you don't have your parallax set right, or if you have parallax problems, you're going to have a post in two different places, and weird shifting of the room and so on. So there are some techniques that are essential to have panoramic heads, certain areas, but for landscape shots, generally I agree with Blake. I've never really used a pano head, and it's always been handheld, and I've got some great shots. So get out there, guys, this week and make yourselves some panoramic photos. Submit it for the photo challenge, #panorama or panoramic, whatever, and submit it to the page that says Weekly Photo Challenge. Should be blast. And we always like to leave the show with a quote. Sometimes we don't, but I would like to. This week, the quote is from Dorothea Lange, who brilliant photographer from way back in the day. She shot with Ansel Adams. She was in the group of 64, F-64 group, I believe. She says, photography takes an instant out of time, altering life by holding it still. And never is it more true than in fireworks photos, because they're gone in a blink of an eye, literally, and all you have left is the photo to represent that firework, and to bring out the detail and color and clarity and mood of a firework is not as easy as it is. So thank you, Dorothea Lange, for your quote. Photography takes an instant out of time, altering life by holding it still. Very cool stuff. And since we're going to say goodbye now, I'm going to let everybody say where they can be found in case anybody needs to hire these amazing photographers. Blake, are you still doing the six? I can't even say it. Six. You do it.
6th Sense Photo. Yeah,
that's it.
6th Sense Photo is still around. I'm still kicking. I've been focusing a lot on doing, I guess, model photography with a story. It's not just a simple picture here, there, and making someone look good. I like to put context to it and build something a little bit more than the typical shots.
And it's that storytelling that you have that made me want to really do these indoor low light action sessions with you. And we're working on a new one, which is really exciting and coming up, which is going to be great. I'll announce that shortly. But Navi, you were going to say something. Sorry, I didn't mean.
Why is it called 6th Sense?
Well, here's the one thing that everyone always tries to do. They try to explain why something looks good or why something's right, or we try to put words to or reasons to why something hits us. And a 6th sense of feeling. It's just it's right. When you see something that's beautiful to you, it's beautiful. You don't need to have reasons for it. You don't need to know exactly. Break it down into science. You just sense it. It's like for me, it made sense because it's all about the beauty. It's just a feeling.
Very good. Great explanation. I'm glad you asked that, Navi. I've always wondered that. Very cool. So, Nav, speaking of where we can find people, what are you up to these days, and where can people get a hold of you to hire you?
Oh, the same old place, NaviNyum.com.
.com. All right. Well, Navi, wedding photography, how's your wedding business going right now? How many more things do you have this season?
I think I still have 6 more to go.
Yikes.
So, I've been trying to edit and make an album this entire time we've been on the show, so sorry if I'm a little MIA here.
No, you're perfect. In fact, I'm glad that you had a few minutes where you could do that, because as a wedding photographer, I say we, like I'm going to shoot a wedding. You never have enough time to find all your edits and to get all that stuff done. So that's one of the hardest things I think about being a professional wedding photographer, is following through on the edits and the deadlines, and that's why I don't do it.
At the time where it's kind of dead for a little bit, and then you have 4 or 5 in a row, and you have 4 or 5 to edit. It gets a little bit crazy. So. Well,
with your talents, I'm surprised that you're not literally ripping your face off with stress with all the weddings that you have to shoot. Awesome stuff.
Stop it at a certain number so I don't go crazy.
Oh, that's good. Oh, and have a great time at Martin's thing. I really wanted to go to it, but I found out after I had already agreed with you to switch shifts. So.
Oh, that's okay. Well, if you want to go to it, you already booked it up, so.
No, it's already changed. It's all good.
All right.
You have fun. So that's it for the show tonight, guys. Thank you both so much. Don't forget the rodeo on July 11th and Joe McNally on July 17th. Joe McNally's in Toronto, rodeo's in Orangeville. These are things that I've mentioned through the Daytripper Photo community on Google+. Anybody who's interested in going can just go. It's not a paid session. Well, Joe McNally is, but you're not paying me. The rodeo is, but you're not paying me. It's all, you pay them and have a good time. So hopefully we'll see everybody there. And for everybody still watching and everybody who watched all during the entire show, thank you so much for watching this week. And we will see you all next week with our Panorama show. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
See ya.